Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Today's video is my summer anime wrap up. Yes, it's late. Yes, it's very, very late because the summer anime season ended in September and it is now November. But in my defense, I was going to have this video out in October, but then, you know, New York, flu. We've been over this. First up are the anime I dropped. Senjushi. Now, I saw the trailer for it, and I kind of figured it was gonna be like Token Rambu, but with guns instead of swords, and while I guess it did have some elements of that, ultimately it was boring as. By the time I started watching it, I was like a week behind, so I watched the first 2 episodes and it was a struggle. It was a bit boring, and I could just see it being one of those anime that I have to sit there and force myself to watch the entire time every single week, and I just honestly don't have time for that. It is pretty shocking how fast I lost interest in this show. Like, they throw so many characters at you at the beginning. I spent most of the show, like the first episode, like, what the actual fuck is happening right now? Who are these people? Where are they from? What is going on? And I just praise the Lord that this was the subtitled version and that they are not dubbing it, because Lord above, I know that if they dub this, it is gonna be like Dao Zu Shi with the absolutely freaking terrible accents, because we had Japanese guns, we had American guns, we had British, we had French, and I don't know if you guys have seen Dao Zu Shi. I did not make it far through that because of the absolutely terrible dub voice actors' accents. Anyway, to conclude, Senjushi, boring and confusing because of all the characters it throws at you. The second anime that I dropped was 100 Princes, and I wasn't originally planning on watching this, and honestly I don't know why I started watching it in the first place. I think I wanted something cute and romancy to watch. I didn't make it very far. Again, I did manage to make it 3 episodes into this before I was like, nope, I'm out. The art was pretty standard, my attention was wandering, and I found myself rolling my eyes so much that I was worried I would give myself a headache. On to the anime that I did watch in full this season. First up is Angels of Death. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. This is for the first 12 episodes. I liked the colour palette that they used for it. I liked the art. The animation was okay. There is a nice pace to it. It kind of starts out with like a baddie on each floor that has to be defeated. But as the show went on, it kind of morphed and kind of fleshed itself out a bit more, and it started to take longer to defeat them, and then Rachel's morality was brought into question. There are a few shock twists, like, you know, hello, Zach nearly dying. Didn't see that coming, and I honestly sat there like, if he dies, I'm out. There's a nice amount of mystery to it with the characters and their past, and then the place in general. And honestly, I had a really mad theory at one point, and I was like, okay, Rachel completely made this entire warehouse. This is her idea. She's come up with it. She's created the whole thing, and then she was like, do you know what? I'm going to test it out for myself. But I was wrong. Although at one point I did feel like that made more sense than some of what actually did happen. But moving on. There were a few moments that I side-eyed throughout this show, like, you know, the witch trial that suddenly sprung up with the ghosts, or whatever they were, and then some of the stuff with Rachel and the priest guy. I was just like, okay, what is happening? Where is this show going now? And then there were the moments when, you know, Rachel was banging on about having to get the medicine for Zach, and I was sat there like, huh, I was not aware you could get medicine for being disemboweled by a scythe. I feel like it was really, really strong, but then I do feel like it slowed down a bit as Rachel was faffing about trying to find the medicine for him, the magic medicine that was gonna miraculously cure his disemboweled situation. That did slow the pace down a bit, and that's when things started to get a little bit weird too. Well, weirder than they already were. Like, the mystery and the fun that we'd enjoyed so far on the show kind of takes a backseat to Rachel and the priest guy and the whole trippy hallucinations he sends her on, and I was sitting there like, what the actual fuck is this? But anyway, it did pick itself back up by the end. It did pull it back a little bit. My issue with the ending is that it has Zach making a discovery about Rachel, and he's all like, And then it's like, to be continued, and I was like, really, bitch? The final 4 episodes of Angels of Death, it turns out, were going to be released as web specials or something. Overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I have enjoyed watching this series. It had some slow moments, it had some bits that kind of let it down a little bit, but I did really enjoy it and it did keep me on my toes. Sirius The Jaeger, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 because I couldn't justify giving it a 4, but I didn't want to give it a 3 either. I wasn't sure how much I was going to like this when I started watching it. I was intrigued by the 1930s setting and the other stuff that the synopsis said, but Sirius The Jaeger surprised me because I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. There's a nice pace to it with plenty of action and mystery, mostly thanks to Yuli and his past and his relationship with his brother. The vampires aren't wholly what I was expecting. Like, some of them were what I was expecting, but they're more like the higher rank ones, and you kind of look at them and you're like, yeah, traditional vampire. There's even red glowy eyes, but they were kind of like, I guess they were like lesser ranked vampires. They're more kind of like demons, I guess you could say, but I wasn't expecting the differentiation. I really enjoyed the support cast. They were a fun bunch. I loved the teamwork and the bonding that we saw between them as the series went on, some more than others. The girl whose name escapes me because I didn't like her enough to care to remember what her name was, not the girl in Yuli's team, but the girl who is the daughter of the Lord that they end up taking on, she annoyed me at points so much. Like, I admired her determination, but her whole crush on Yuli just annoyed me, and I felt like it was kind of out of place a little bit, and I was really pleased that while they had it there and kind of showed some of it and some stuff to do with it, they didn't fully take up the romance plotline and go that route. The more I watched, the more it kind of grew on me and I got into it, and I was looking forward to each new episode to see what was going to happen next or to get answers to some of the questions I had. Like I said, the pace to it is really nice and I really liked all the interesting lore to it that was woven in. Next up is Kyoto Holmes. This is another 3.5er. Holmes is very, well, Holmes-like. Alongside the Holmesiness and the solid deduction skills, he also has his own Moriarty-esque nemesis. To be 100% honest, I went into this one thinking I was going to get bored of it and drop it, but it did end up piquing my interest more than I thought it would, and at some points I was really looking forward to the next episode. Along with the fun mysteries and the cases to be solved, there are some really fun and entertaining characters like Akihito. I was kind of fascinated by the antiques and learning about some of the Japanese history that way. Ultimately, the finale did have some predictable parts, but it did do it nicely, although if you're hoping for the two of them to get together, you're gonna be disappointed, like I was. Next up is Angolmois, a record of Mongol invasion. I gave this one 2 stars. I was so here for this show because I was like, yes, historical anime, all about the Mongol invasion, and I was so freaking stoked for the historical aspect of this show, but I figured out pretty quickly, pretty early on, that it was not going to be historically accurate. And to be honest, I'm still not entirely sure how much of it was fact and how much of it was fiction. What I will say is that the art style is definitely interesting. Like, it's not usually an art style that I enjoy when it comes to character design, but they basically did the animation and the art so it looked like it was done on like old paper. It had this quality effect thing over it, I don't know what the technical term is, that made it look like paper, which kind of was cool in the beginning, but like towards the middle point in the end I was just getting annoyed and I was just like, why are we doing this? Why is this necessary? We know it's historical. Why do we need the paper effect? I don't understand. Normally I would have dropped this after 5 episodes, but I kind of still was kind of holding on and I was intrigued enough that I wanted to see how it was going to end, and I couldn't fully drop it. As we entered the last few episodes of the series, it did get worse and it was literally seriously a struggle, and it reached a point when I was fast forwarding through and basically quickly reading the subtitles at 2 times the speed because I just wanted it over and I couldn't be bothered to dedicate an entire 20 minutes of my life to each episode. There is a decent amount of action and battle tactics, which I did find very interesting, but overall I did find my attention wandering a lot, and I did find myself bored as I was watching it. None of the characters particularly stood out to me, but I'm not entirely sure if they were supposed to, although that's not entirely true. One character did stand out to me for how freaking annoying she was. The princess got on my last nerve. I literally wanted to wring her neck, and I was like, can someone please just kill her already? She was kind of annoying, and she was useless, and she had a crush on Jinzaburo, the samurai dude. And of course, she was one of the last ones standing while more useful people bit it, which annoyed me. To be honest with you, I feel like things got a little bit weird at the end because, you know, the main samurai dude fell into the water. I was like, okay. And then a shark appeared. Now, normally I'd be like, okay. But this shark was huge. Huge. But not only that, it was talking to him and it seemed to be saving him. And this was like towards the end and I was just like, thank fuck. There is only one episode left because I am literally, at this point, I was just like, what are they doing? And at the same time, they tried to create this whole, oh my god, no, he's gonna die. But you knew he was not gonna die. You knew he was gonna drag his ass up that cliff and save the day. You knew it was gonna happen. So the entire thing was just like, you just wasted so much time when you could have been doing something better, like killing the princess. We've had to faff about with this thing where there was no, like, jeopardy at all. We knew it was all gonna be fine. And I was just sitting there like... On the subject of character deaths, I assume I was supposed to feel some kind of emotional impact from the character deaths, but honestly, so many of them died that it reached a point when I just did not even care. I couldn't even cheer when Princess Useless died because I knew for a fact she wasn't really dead and she was going to pop up again, and I was unfortunately correct, and I just was like, of course she survived to continue to be completely useless and get on my last nerve and carry on her ridiculously out of place crush on Jinzaburo. If I remember correctly, there was also a random flashback of a tree, which honestly I feel was kind of unnecessary because it's like everyone is dying, but sure, let's go check out this flashback of the kid and the tree. I'm sure it's going to have a great impact on the storytelling. I don't know, maybe I missed something because I was fast forwarding at this point, but I was literally just like, a tree? Really? A tree? These next two anime are anime that I kind of ended up watching by accident. I wasn't planning on watching them, stumbled across them, and thought I'd give them a go. First up is Phantom in the Twilight. I gave this 3 out of 5. I didn't initially plan to watch this because I saw it and I was like, okay, this is just obviously, just from the poster, this is obviously a reverse harem, otome romance thing. But I did see some people saying that it was actually kind of good, and I was really, really curious because obviously it is set in my city, which is London, and I was curious to see how they would draw it. I did find the lore to it really, really interesting because all of the supernatural creatures are born from human fears and anxieties. So like, if you're scared of the monster under your bed, you are going to create a monster under your bed. The art was cute, it was kind of standard for the reverse harem genre, let's be honest. While I did end up getting kind of bizarrely sucked into this anime, it isn't 100% a great one. Like, I did enjoy some episodes of this, but then there were other episodes when I found myself kind of skipping through it a little bit. I enjoyed it at points, didn't enjoy it at other points, and I mostly ended up finishing it because I was curious to see where it was going to go and how they were going to finish it. I did like how the settings were drawn. They threw in some familiar faces like Van Helsing. We see some other mythological creatures, which I did enjoy. There were a few little mysteries and cases to be solved. But the main deal is the shady organisation that's out for all the supernatural creatures. As you might expect from this kind of anime, there were some plot holes. I never really felt that Ton was particularly in any danger. I knew that one of the others would save her, or she would use her power and save herself. Her power, however, was an interesting addition that I wasn't expecting. However, she did come across a bit like a special little snowflake because of it. I really do feel like her friend being kidnapped was dragged on for way too long. She was rescued, and then she was kidnapped again, and then she was rescued again, and then she was kidnapped again, and I got so frustrated with it because I was like, this is one of the things you could have cut out that isn't really necessary. As for the characters, I was really itching for the background on some of them, but it does not deliver at all. And then the werewolf, in a move straight out of Twilight, fully like ripped his shirt off for a final showdown, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It ended okay, there was a big battle and so on and so forth. I knew no one was really gonna die, I knew everything was gonna be fine and okay in the end. So, you know, there was, again, no real jeopardy, not that there ever has been throughout this series. Next up is Dao Zu Shi. I gave this one 5 out of 5. It is a Chinese anime. I'm going to try and explain this, and I'm probably going to do it really badly, but in the world of this anime, there are different sects slash clans, and they have powers, and they fight against ghosts and demons. Our main character is Wei Wuxian, and he kind of ends up taking on a more demonic power, and he does so by harnessing resentful energy, and you know, it's all great, it's all good, no one really cares. I mean, it's kind of frowned upon, but no one really cares because he's using it in this campaign against the evil sect that is kind of crushing everyone and kind of being arseholes. But he ends up being backstabbed by his allies, and he is pretty much murdered. We fast forward X amount of years, I think it's 10, and we have this guy who is treated like crap by his family, and he's kind of gone a little bit insane at this point, and he wants revenge, so he does this ritual and basically gives his life so that Wei Wuxian can be reincarnated into his body, and in exchange for that happening, he has to kill the people that are specified in the ritual. There are 3. Luckily for him, that little issue is easily solved when they are attacked by one of the monsters, but unfortunately, Wuxian ends up ultimately being dragged to the Cloud Recesses. The Cloud Recesses is basically the home of the Lan clan, and he is dragged there by Lan Wangji, who is his old, not kind of really nemesis. They basically had this relationship where Wuxian just antagonised him and annoyed him, and Wang Ji hated him. Or did he? Cue the hijinks and solving mysteries and battling monsters. First things first, I stumbled across this on Tumblr because I saw people posting about it and it was being reblogged onto my dashboard a lot. I was super intrigued by it, so I googled it to find out more about it, and then, you know, to see if there was a way to read the light novel because I was super curious. And then I discovered that what I didn't realise is that there is going to be a romance between Wuxian and Wang Ji. But I don't think it's going to be overly in your face because obviously it is a Chinese anime, so I'm fairly sure that while the light novel is quite obviously going to go the romance route, I'm fairly sure the anime is quite probably going to go the bromance route. Anyway, I was completely drawn in by the art and the animation. My god, the art for this series is completely freaking gorgeous. The character designs are beautiful, but the scenery is just completely stunning. Like, you could take a screenshot of some of this scenery and quite happily have it as a background. And it was also, I felt, really cinematic. So I was completely hooked from episode 1, and it was like literally waiting for each episode each week was a complete nightmare. If you haven't read the light novel, I feel like you might feel like some of these episodes are quite slow and that some of it's not really necessary. In this first season, there is a lot of getting to know the characters, fleshing out the world, building up the plot, and the circumstances that led to Wuxian kind of getting involved with the resentful energy and becoming the patriarch of the demonic sect, and basically becoming the bad guy that nobody likes. It would appear the anime has decided to go the route where the entire first season is all of the flashbacks continuously. Obviously wants to get all of the flashbacks out of the way instead of constantly diving backwards and forwards throughout the anime between the past and the present like the novel does, so that in the next season they can kick off the main plot without having to, you know, flashback, start the plot, stop, year wait, continue the plot, flashback, and so on and so forth. I'm also curious looking at this first season as to whether they're going to have to condense things and cut things out to fit it in, and I think we all know what's going to get cut if they have to. That's going to be the romance. There is plenty of action and humour and plotting and betrayal and completely mind-blowing moments. There's a couple of monsters to be taken down. There's an obvious focus on the relationship between Wuxian and Wang Ji. I feel like the anime really does hint at his feelings for Wuxian more than the light novel does. There is a steady pace at the start. Like I said, we get introduced to the characters and the world, but I feel like the plot and the pace really builds up as we go throughout the series, and as the Wen sect starts to make its moves and there's more action brought in and there's more badass moments. But yeah, I honestly cannot rave about this series enough. OSD is gorgeous, the art, the settings, it's just all completely gorgeous and amazingly drawn and animated, and I was just so curious about the characters and what the deal was and how he became so evil. But yeah, I really think you guys should check this one out. I hope you guys enjoyed my summer anime wrap up. I hope I have convinced you to check out some of them, or not, as the case may be, but I'm hoping I convinced you to check out some of them, at least from Dao Zu Shi. Check out Dao Zu Shi. Let me know down below what you guys thought of any of these anime, if you have watched them. If you're a fellow Dao Zu Shi fan, I'm gonna need you to hit me up on Twitter. I will link all of my social media down below, and I'll see you guys next video.